in terms of the next steps, how do we assess the city's reducing poverty network in terms of, outcomes and moving forward?
Well, the next step is I think we're going to do just a bit more prototyping and testing, but then we're going to do a first full iteration of the survey, meaning we may change it in the next year. We're going to generate, try and expand it across all the different sites, generate as much data as we can, analyze the results of that, look for patterns, and then have a facilitated sense-making session with the Cities Reducing Poverty members. And by sense-making, we mean kind of asking, so what, now what? So often, evaluations in general aren't used, partly because people think the act of generating data and putting them on tables is good enough and something magic will appear, or some tremendous insight. In fact, we actually have to roll up our sleeves and make sense of the data. So what is it saying to us? What is it not saying to us? And now what might be the implications for how we do our work? So we're going to be really deliberate about assessing, making sense of it, and drawing it to decisions. We're also, at that time, of course, going to do another review to say, look, on this scale, what worked well for whom and what context and why, because we know different people are going to have different experiences with that survey. We know there's going to be a lot of different storylines here. We want to understand that because we're going to have to iterate again. In all the Vibrant Communities 10 years, Kirsty, and we were that project was considered one of the better shared measurement collective impact evaluations in North America. We actually every year kept upgrading the evaluative approach. So it was never perfect. It was always being upgraded and adapted. So that's for sure what we'll do. Then we're going to complement that with a series of webinars on topics that might be useful around capacity building at the local level. We have the one from Dieter coming up with the CCSD data. We'll talk about evaluating things at the systems and policy level and how to really manifest the sustainable livelihood as a core framework or a complementary framework for all the cities reducing poverty sites. So there'll be a strong capacity building webinar program. We're also creating some tools, the Cities Reducing Poverty members are, that can be used above and beyond the seminars. And you've got a couple of, I think you may have mentioned a couple, Kirsty, but they include, a transportation policy framework, food security policy frameworks, income security frameworks, different ways of thinking about systems change. And all of those will be helpful for strategy, but they'll all have an evaluative component as well. So new resources to help live out those principles and ideas that we talked about in the webinars. So Kirsty, there's a lot going on. This is just the opening move of the Cities Reducing Poverty Network. It should and it better look different 8 or 9 years from now after we've got a number of cycles under our belt. But the only way to start on a complex issue is to start. And I think we've got a pretty good one here.
For sure. It's absolutely an evolving process. And this has been great. I mean, I just to get the history and the context in which, where did this all come from and where are we at now? I think we know that evaluation is a tool for poverty reduction. We can use it to provide the insights that we need to make strategic, organizational, and programmatic decisions, right? It's really integral to leading any organization, program, or project for change. And collecting and sense-making of data can help us in so many ways. Our member initiatives, it will help them to report the progress that they're seeing in their communities and report to service users. And it'll help you communicate your successes to your funders and your donors and your key stakeholders and the community at large. It can help you identify and build a case for poverty reduction and help gain local buy-in from local leaders like city councilors, mayors, and so forth, business community representatives, and it can help you it'll guide you to reflect on gaps or spaces where you can kind of tweak or make revisions to your program or project just to make it more effective and to run more efficiently. And the big one is, it'll indicate whether your theory of change or strategy is really working. You need information to compare and contrast to know if you're on the right path. So, and from VC's perspective, it helps us understand how close we really are to reaching our goal of connecting, 100 Canadian communities together to affect the lives of 1 million Canadians who are living in poverty. Yeah. So as Mark mentioned, we're absolutely committed to supporting our members every step of the way in completing the evaluation process next year. We will be launching it in early 2016 with a little bit more refinement to the tools. And we'll be providing you with those learning supports that Mark mentioned as well, like webinars and community practice calls, just specifically around topics of evaluation. One other additional thing that we're introducing into the membership for 2016 is the opportunity to connect with peer-to-peer mentors and professional coaches, also around various topics related to poverty reduction, but also specifically evaluation. So really looking forward to learning more from our members about, what are the gaps right now for you or challenges in evaluating local outcomes, and kind of how can VC support you in that.